It is 10.2b, and we are continuing with congruent circles, or our idea of circles. So today let's talk about congruent circles. So a definition of congruent circle is that it's the exact same shape. Two circles are congruent if only a rigid motion can be used. So if it's the exact same circle and you move it somewhere else, then we consider those congruent circles. Mind my drawing. Next, two circles, we consider them congruent circles. How can we tell if they are congruent circles? With our congruent circles theorem is that two circles are congruent if they have the same radius, and that is all. So let's say if this radius is 4 and this radius was 4 and this one just happens to be 2, well, the two bigger ones are congruent, whereas the smaller one is not congruent at all to the other ones. So continuing with that, we also have congruent arcs. Two arcs are considered congruent if and only if they have the same measure. So if I had an arc here from here, and this is, we'll call this AB, and this measure was, let's say, 80 degrees. Then, and also from B to, let's change this, B to C, and this was also 80 degrees. Well, then AB, arc AB is congruent to BC. So either they're on the same circle or the two circles are congruent. So they have to have the same radii. So this radius, so let's say this is 8 and this is 8. So they have the same radii. And then they then also have to have the same arc measure. So let's say this from here to here, this was 80, and this was also 80. Then we can say those two arcs are congruent. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same spot. So if this here was also 80, these two arcs, we'll say this A from here, if this is A and this is B and this is D and this is E, we can say AB, arc AB is congruent to DE, arc DE. Next is congruent central angles theorem. So congruent central angles theorem basically says that if the same circle, or in congruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if and only if they're corresponding central angles. Corresponding central angles are congruent. So we have the same circle here, and we call this, let's say, A, B, and C. And this central angle was 70 degrees, and this was also 70 degrees. Then we can also say arc AB is congruent to arc BC. Next is similar circles theorem. Which basically says if you are a circle, you are similar to every other circle out there. So you are proportional always. However, the similar arcs theorem basically says that two arcs are similar arcs if and only if they have the same measure. All congruent arcs are similar, but not all similar arcs are congruent. So let me show you what that means. If I had two circles that were the same, had the same radius, and then I had a way bigger circle, and however, the way bigger circle, even though let's say they all have 50 degrees, this is 50 degrees, this is 50 degrees, we'll call this circle A and B and C. We can, and this one has 3 and 3, and this one has 5. We can say that all the circles are similar, all the arcs are similar. However, from A to B, it is congruent. These are congruent, but this is not congruent. It is similar, but not congruent. Let's apply this out. Are these circles similar, congruent? Say yes or no. Why or why not? Well, this one is yes. Why is because if you notice the tick marks, that means they have the same radii. So they have same radii and angle measure and central angle measure. And then this here, this has a 5 and a 4. It's no because the radii are different, so different radii. Number 3, let's see this. It's on the same circle and has the same measure, so yes, same circle and central angle. Number 4, even though they aren't actually in the same circle. One circle is inside the other. So I know definitely they have different radii. So no, different radii. Number 5, same thing. They have the same radii because of the tick marks and same measure. So this is a yes. Same radii and central angle. And then the next one, this one even though this one says 16, this is the diameter because it's going straight over this way. So the radius is half the diameter, so this is 8. So they both have 8 as a radius and 92 as the central angle. So this is actually a yes. Same radii and central angle. And that is it.